What gets me excited about your story and the way you present yourself is your acronym, Miss Francois.
Oh,
what at what is the story behind you deciding to use that acronym?
first of all, so everyone should know what the acronym means. So it's Miss Francois, that's MSS for multi-talented and super sexy. But the funny thing is when I was looking, well, he wasn't my ex at the time. He always called me Miss Francois instead of my first name. So I got accustomed to that. And when I was doing a TV show, I was going to call the TV show Frustrated. And then he's like, you can't be frustrated all the time. Why don't you call it Miss Francois? And I'm like, cool. But when I was looking for like the Instagram or the all the social media handle, they were all taken. The MS, the MISS. So I decided to put MSS. And then I thought everyone gonna assume I spelled it wrong. So I needed to make sure people know it meant something. I looked at all different things of what it should be, but then I wanted to make sure it said who I am. And who I am is multi-talented because I am. And let's
Yep.
be real, am I not sexy?
Yes, well, thank you for sharing that. So the books that we're talking about today, your books, Let the Mango and this. All right. Yeah, Let the Mango. So any backstory as to the title? I mean, the title's making you smile too and laugh.
Right, because people want to see it, they think it's like a man bashing book. And I'm like, it's far from it. But it does piques your interest when you see it. You're like, what? So it makes you want to pick it up. So that's part of it. But it's me personally, as much as it's some of your friends in your circle going through relationships and failed relationship and being hurt and crying and frustrated. And sometimes, not sometimes, most times and I'm just talking for women. I always say if you want to talk for the man, you do your own thing. I'm talking for my people, my people, is that we don't take enough time to get to know ourselves. A lot of the times when we're in relationships, then they go bad. Then we repeat the same thing over and over. Some people call us insanity. I call it stupidity, right?
Mm.
So my thing was, the- in order to get over a breakup, which is hard, I came up with some steps to help people or help women. It's for both people, but to help women overcome that. So by the time they do some of these steps, it gets you the best person you are at that period of time before you transition to the next chapter of your life, instead of bringing that baggage to the next chapter.
Yeah. So it can also work for men too, because when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, can this principle
Yes,
apply to
a
men? Okay.
100%. But I guess obviously when I wrote it, it's for both. But when I was putting myself in it, right? Because a lot of times when we go around helping people, it's because of the story that you had for your life, right? So I just mostly focus on my feelings and me being a female.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's very important. That's very important. So still talking about the books that you wrote, the one of the things that came up there is how people present themselves, their personality, and their appearance. You made a couple of comments there about how people should present themselves. So, based on your own experience, do you think that judging people's personality based on their appearance is a fair thing to do?
So this is it. It's not about being fair. This is gonna sound how I always say, people take it however you take it. We like to always do that whole cute cliche thing. It's, what's on the inside that counts. People should get to know people, and all that stuff is great. And it's true to a certain extent. But we go to job interviews. You can't come in there. I didn't bathe. I in my jeans and my sweatshirt with a hoodie on. Like, it doesn't work like that in the world we live in and continue to live in, as we are living in this present time. So your outward appearance does matter. And I believe however you are, however God made you, just make sure you're taking care of that. Right. And I think a lot of times people let themselves go in many different ways. And that could be health wise, that could be bathing, that could be grooming. So whatever you have, just make sure it's the best presentation possible. And that could open even more doors for you instead of you like, well, they should try to get to know me. And if that's your attitude, maybe that's the problem you've been having in life. And maybe that's part of the problem you haven't been getting ahead in life.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Talking about getting to know people, you wrote something about your relationship in the book. My relationships were like a never-ending roller coaster.
But it wasn't my fault. It was all theirs. Nah.
Wow. Okay. So that's what we want to hear about.
Well,
So,
think of like I wanna, and the good thing is when you reflect now, remember you were a different person then, right? So when I'm going through like relationships, and again, a lot of these things come from your past. I come from a past where I come from a big family. Now I'm in a whole new country and I'm looking for love. I'm looking to so for someone to say that I matter and that I'm special. So I'm looking at family. So that the best thing for me was relationships. But when you don't love yourself enough or you don't have that self-esteem, you tend to attract what that is, right? Because I always tell people sometimes you got to take responsibility for some of the things that happen in your relationship instead of always that person. So because I was attracting not the best because I wasn't my best, it tends to be a roller coaster. So it was constantly, I was attracting people that cheated, people that didn't make me feel special. And it was just me going in this whole wheel. I get up a roller coaster, I end up on another one. So after a while, that's not them. That might be me attracting those things. And after a while, I always say it's like this. When you learn to ride a bike as a child, you fall down a few times and then you get better. But if you keep falling down, maybe you have to look at things a different way. Maybe you need a helmet, knee pads, something to brace the fall and, to adjust. And maybe you need to start making some changes or adjustments. So I came
wow.
off the roller coaster because I started to get dizzy and vomit.
Wow. Okay. Now I get the image now. Thank you. Thank you for creating a clear image. Thank you for joining us. I guess if you're here on any of our lines, streaming from Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, please let us know that you're here. Uh, put your name in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. And if you have questions for our guest, also please let us know. Thank you. Specifically, you made mention that in your relationship you went through a marriage, two engagements.
Oh my
And
God, I started all my business. Nah.
no, well, you put it in the book anyways.
You should have
So
kept skip through that part, but go ahead.
so my question is, if you can look back, what would you say you learned from those experiences? What would you do differently in case you know everything that you know now and you just find yourself in that situation? What would you do differently?
I love myself more. Like
Right.
you don't, because a lot of times we're in relationships for validation.
Mhm.
And we don't need to be in relationships for any type of validation. Get to know your loves, your likes, what you dislike, what you can handle, how you want people to be. Like you need to just focus on you and get yourself together. Because after you know you, when certain people, and this could be relationships, any type of relationships, when certain people enter into your life, you know if you want to spend time with that person or you're like, okay, I don't want that person in my circle. But if you don't have any boundaries, so forth and so on, then any and anything, it's just like if you open your door and anything could come in there and you just like, okay, I could just come in and just mess up my house and dirty everything up. So it's my responsibility to work on myself. And when it's time for me to open that door, I can analyze and I know what to let in and what not to let in.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Knowing what to let in and what not to let in. That's very powerful. I also watched your TEDx talk.
Oh, that's you stalking me.
Yeah, you gave me the permission to do that. You're you're getting over the heartbreak formula from the TEDx talk. You said detach, confide, and create. Detach, confide, and create. Any suggestion on how to actually do that, or any story behind that?
Okay, so one of the first things I always say is you hear people give you all kind of information and 4 steps and 20 steps and 100 steps, right? And I think people always jump too quickly into the steps. The first thing overall, especially when you're going through a breakup, you need to be in the breakup, meaning you need to cry, you need to feel sorry for yourself, you need to eat ice cream, you need to maybe do go to a party. Like you do need to release, because sometimes I think we try to cover it up. Yeah, well, I don't need him, and we have our friends telling us all this stuff, trying to make us, yeah, you strong girl, you know. But be in be in the moment. It's okay to hurt, because guess what? I think we keep forgetting that we're human, and we too quick to, I'm strong. Oh my goodness, stop it. The strongness is overrated. It doesn't even make sense sometimes. Right? So I feel like after you have let yourself feel, then you can start to slowly pick up yourself, because it's less like anything when you, oh, I'm going to lose amount of weight, I'm going to throw all the stuff out of my fridge and have fruits and vegetables, and then after 3 days you're at McDonald's. So slowly. And when I say detach, is because a lot of times when we in anything, we hold on to so many things. And if you keep holding on to the shirt, the cards, the gifts, you're gonna keep seeing that person, keep reliving the moments, regardless if they're good or bad. And sometimes when we relive the moments, we relive the good moments, and then you started quite, well, maybe this could have worked out, and we start to forget about the bad. So my thing is slowly detaching the things that are around you that remind you of that person. It's over. We all know in here that it's over. It's over. But you keep holding on to replay whatever you choose to replay in your mind. So once you can slowly detach, then you confide. And what I always want people to make sure they understand the confide part. Not in your ghetto friends that be like, girl, you know what we need to do? We need to go to his house and we need to cuss him out and we need to break something. Not those friends. And that's the whole other thing, is having the right friends around you. You need the friend that will listen, that would understand, would hug, that would nod. Not the friend that wants to try to solve a problem and get you in more situations, that negative situation that you need to be in. So confiding in the right person, and creating has to do with, a lot of times when we in relationships, guess what? We're so in relationships that we're making sure that person is good, that person is happy. And what do? We forget about this, our goals, our vision, the plans we had for our lives. And then it's a time to go back and revisit what we put on pause for someone else. And even when you're with someone, you shouldn't be pausing all these things. I'm big on adjustments, but maybe you were writing a book. All of a sudden you wasn't writing a book because you wanted to spend all the time with Josh, and Josh needed to hug you and color you and go to 100 events, and then you forget to write your book. So start creating, and you'll see how quickly a new world open up for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So you just mentioned the word confide, and one of the things I find interested and very interesting in your books, right, here is you made a distinction between friends and confidence.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that. Are friends not supposed to be confident?
So it's similar, but it's not. Because if you notice, when you walk outside and you meet people, you talk to people, everybody is your friend.
Right?
Oh, that's my friend. Sometimes they say you're their friend and you not even see them as a friend. Everybody's a friend. And I feel like they water down the word so much. BFF, friends with benefits. So, again, everybody's your friend. All your workers is your friend. No, they're not. Right? And you won't go tell all your friends all your business. You know what I'm saying? If you're promiscuous, you shouldn't go, hey, friend, I have several partners this morning. Like, it doesn't work like that. And if you even research it, when it comes to confidence, they say you're lucky if you have 2 to 3 in a lifetime. You could have hundreds and thousands of friends that don't even know your favorite color, that don't even know certain things that happened in your childhood. But 2 to 3 confidence in your lifetimes, right? And if your average age is 70, 2 to 3 people that you can confide in and you can trust, that have your back, doesn't come every day. So know the people that you're telling your internal, your traumas to, because your average friend might use it against you. You don't want those kind of people in your life. And it's
Yeah.
just like I said, if you go into your average friend and be like, girl, you got to get under somebody to get over them, like those kind of ignorant comments that people make. Girl, come to this party, drink, forget your like those kind of friends gonna lead you down a different road, and the problem you had today might turn into twice a bigger problem tomorrow.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting.
I,
Friendship. I think that. Go ahead.
Sorry. And I always tell people, so TDJX to me break it down best, right? It's confidence, constituents, and comrades, right?
Hmm.
And people always say, Jim Rohn also said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. My problem that I have with all these things is no one actually takes the time to look at it, right? No one takes the time. It's two things I say. Look at the 5 people, like really write it down, investigate it. How much money do they make? Do they have goals? What do they do with their time? Sometimes we just look, oh, that's my 5 friends. But maybe that's not the best 5 friends to have. And at the same time, I believe in having your friends in buckets, right? So maybe you have a friend that like documentary, like to read, like personal development. That person, maybe you need to talk to that person more often according to what your goals is for your life. Then you have the friend that like to get drunk and pass out. Maybe you put it in another bucket that maybe you see that person once a year during Christmas time when drinking is more a thing. So, and I think people don't take the time to do this, and they just, you ever see those reality shows with the housewives when
Yeah.
it's like 10 of us? Oh, we got a problem. Then we had to go to Mexico to sort it out. And then you go to Mexico and then you're still having a fight because this one said, I don't, that's too much. You don't need all those people.
Hmm. Wow. Interesting. So, I mean, one of the things that I really want to understand is now that we can categorize these groups of friendship in quote into different categories, are you conscious of each numbers you have in each category?
If
Let's
I
say,
know what numbers I have in each
yeah,
category,
yeah, which category do you tend to have more people in?
well,
And which
those are the people on the outside. It's just like you're driving in a car and you could see in your rear view and you saw those people. That's those people,
yeah,
right? Think about it. Your people at your job, right? That is that really your friends? Because
uh,
most of the time, if someone leave their job, they get another job. Guess what? You're oh yay, good luck, and within a week, you never communicate with that person again. But at work, that was your buddy. So I can't pronounce AVAX, a peripheral or whatever. You see those people, so they're there, and it's okay for them to be there. But I don't mean they have to come in your house and sit down and eat with you.
yeah. So if I understand your categories, so co-workers can be comrades then, comrades, because you're fighting the same goal. You try
Yes,
to, and when,
exactly.
wow,
And the constituents is they always say the constituents look just like your confidants, but most of the time they're with you, they're riding to die with you. Yeah, you're my friend. Yeah, we're doing this together. But at the same time, they're in it for more of what you can add to their life or what you can give to them. And as soon as you can't give them what they need anymore, then all of a sudden they disappear.
wow, that makes a lot of sense.
I know
That
I'm
makes
pretty
a lot of
smart.
sense. Yeah, I know. That's your name, Miss Francois, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I also really like about your books and what you did, which I've never seen people really do, at least on the pages, is you prescribing songs like you're prescribing medicine to people, right? You came up with some specific songs. You prescribe songs as if they were medicine for heartbreaks, right? So if you could think about these songs, can you come up with your top three that you that you
That's a question
that
I have not ever gotten. And I mean, if I had to come up with my top three, is it the top three that gets me pumped, that gets me excited? Because when I do the songs, especially in the books, it's to invoke certain emotion according to where the person is, right? And people don't realize the power of music. Power of music does so much. Connection with people, how you feel, how you react to certain things, how you even react to the world and people around you according to what song you're listening to. So if it has to do with like uplifting, first of all, I'm a Michael Jackson fan. Die Hard, April
Mhm.
24th, the movie comes out. That's how Die Hard planned to have my whole Michael Jackson outfit and a group of people looking exactly the same. So,
Mhm.
and Michael Jackson is someone who has gotten me through a lot, especially when I came to this country. That was between, I would say, it was God and then it was Michael, right? Because I used to sing some of the songs people don't know. It's one of the song was Smile, and the song used to go Smile, even though you're crying, right? So I remember going through a hard time, and it was just smile, even though he goes through all the sad emotion, but still smile. And that got me through a lot. So every time I think of trying to get through something, I remember to smile because Michael
Yeah.
said so,
Wow.
right?
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. You just said something now, what you went through when you first get into the country. I think you touched a little bit about that in the book too, as to how you came in as a teenager
Yes.
from
And
Trinidad and Tobago.
yes, and I recently had this conversation this week with someone that I realized I don't fully elaborate on thing, which I'm going to work on, because especially when you do keynote speaking, people always want to have a sense of who is speaking in front of them, and I always just touch on it a little, but I think I'm
Mhm.
going to have to extend it. But I have one of those, I call it an immigrant story, because
Yeah.
when you talk to a lot of people that's from a foreign country, most, and I'm talking from my experience, have some kind of sad story. It's very few that have a great, yeah, I came and everything was great.
Yeah.
It's coming here. People always tell you the stories of how
Mhm.
great it is and how it's amazing. And if you had never been on a plane or this is your first time in a foreign country, you imagine television, the houses you imagine according to what area you're born, full house. It could be Bell Cosby, the Cosby Show. You thinking everything is wonderful, money is flowing, life is great, everybody is nice to you. And then when you come here, you get a rude awakening from your family
Yeah.
treating you. You can't have the lights on. You're talking too loud. They make up stories. So I had one of those things where in the islands, in America, it sounds different when you say in the island, or you're taking man, or you're looking for man, or you're looking for boys. It's always
Mhm.
something negative they're pouring onto you, right? And then I end up having a situation where I was put out on the street, and it's always vivid in my mind where they put everything in a black garbage bag. And I got to figure out, only being in this country 9 months, being very naive, a mindset of a 10-year-old, even though I was like 17, and trying to figure out where am I going, what am I doing. And my story ended up being a better story. But think about, I always tell people, you hear people's stories, you hear the Tyler Perry and the Steve Harvey of sitting in my car and sleeping in my car and no money. And they made it. I made it. But what about the people that are still sleeping in your car?
Yeah.
You don't get to hear those stories. But for me to come from a foreign country thinking it's going to be amazing, having people treat you like you're nothing, having being put out on the street and having to figure it out for your own, I think that is what I can, that's one of the reasons I think I could, I not think, I help people with resilience, because when you've been through certain things, it's so much easier to be able to tell your story, for people to learn from your story alone, and then be able to do certain things to continue to keep moving. Because it's not always easy. Because a lot of people cut their life short because they can't handle some of the traumas and things that they go through and they face. Sometimes I don't even know how I made it.
Right. Because you, like most immigrants, left your country excited and say, wow, they've been waiting for me to be here. It's like there's a special it's like there's a
But
special
mine is 50-50. My parents sent me here. I never wanted to come to America. Nothing's wrong with America, people. Land of opportunity, still the number one country in the world as far as I'm concerned. But I never wanted to come here. I have a huge family, 8 brothers and sisters. I was coming here by myself. And if you grew up in a sheltered life like I did, church and school and home and read books, coming here, the lights, the people, it's a lot. It's traumatic in many sense. And I cried many times to go home because that's what you know. And then, your family, your family is like, here is better. And it is better in many instances. But I would say to anybody coming here, you need a support system.
Mhm.
And if you don't have that support system, it's very easy to get distracted. It's not like which one I come from. I live in the bushes. Ain't got much to be distracted. Who gonna distract me? The cow, the sheep? Here you have so many clicks, as they call it. You can go here. You could maybe sell drugs. You could go here and read. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and there's certain expectation around that. People expect you to be doing this and send money back home, black
Yeah,
tax, and things like that.
it's a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's more story that I will probably not be able to get into today, and I totally understand. One of the things you mentioned in the book is crying. Crying is like emotional detox, and one of the things that I observed when I left Nigeria coming to America is that the way people see crying is very different as you move from one country to another country. So I wonder how that is in Trinidad and Tobago versus America in terms of how people show their emotions with crying and things like that. Was there any difference or some
I would
similarities?
not say that. Even though I came up here as I was 17, I wouldn't say, even though I grew up in Trinidad, I don't have like this big recollection of how certain things, and I think I wasn't paying those things as much attention when you were younger. But you cried. But it's funny, growing up as a child, if you did something wrong, you would get a beating. No Americans. It wasn't abuse, it was beating. Okay. So, but the thing was, I remember, say you were being picked up for your schoolwork, or your parents telling you something, and when they're talking to you, you start to cry. The number one thing in a Caribbean household is, when you're crying, they're going to tell you, look at you and tell you, do you want something to cry for,
Uh-huh.
even though you're crying? So your response was to try to stop crying, because then, even though they were shouting at you or screaming at you or reprimanding you, and you're crying because you feel bad or you're hurting or you're embarrassed, they, in their minds, if I didn't beat you or get, I don't know what is the American word in Trinidad is, licks, discipline you,
Hmm.
right? They feel like you have no reason to be crying. So you better suck it up
Hmm.
until I give you a reason to truly cry.
Yeah.
So it was more like holding things in, because you'll get in more trouble if you did cry. But
Yeah.
even in America, I feel like crying, people see it as a weakness. Now we try to be more woke and more understanding, and we have information, internet, and everywhere else, right? Before, I feel like the information obviously wasn't everywhere, right? So people now could understand different types of emotions and all this stuff. But I feel like people always see crying as a weakness, when I
Yeah.
feel like it's a strength, because anybody who has been through certain things and they have a good cry, a good scream, then you could just, you were like, and you're like, okay, I can start over.
Wow. Wow. Starting over. That's very important. One of the things I really like about this book is that you co-authored with some people in the book, and
Mhm.
this is the saying from one of the person that you co-authored with. Stop measuring my worth and value by someone else's roadmap. I think that's Cherise Beneath that
Yes.
said that in the book. I, I think it's a very important point to make because we all fall into that ditch of comparing ourselves with other people, trying to see if this person is achieving this, maybe I'm supposed to be achieving the same thing or doing the same thing. When did you decided to choose your own path for yourself? When were you so comfortable with
So,
going through your own path?
when, okay, so I could see comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy, so forth and so on. But okay, I try to see things a little different sometimes. Comparison could actually help you, right? It's according to how you see it, right? And again, I do believe in running your own race, but sometimes you could look at someone and say, oh, they're doing amazing things, right? Oh, I had that idea and I just didn't execute. So if you took that comparison and realize in yourself, is it are they doing anything wrong? They decided to go after their goal and vision. You might have had that same idea or similar idea and you didn't execute. So by you comparing yourself might make you jump up and actually do something for yourself, right? And then you continue to run your own race. But a lot of times what I say is, like, when you are going on your race, just, oh, you climbing up those steps, just focus on your step. Because I realize when you do look up at the person in front of you,
Mhm.
you get distracted. If you turn around to look down, you could stumble down. So
Yeah.
focus on where you are. You could have the mentors and the coaches and the people that are gonna and motivate you, but just look at how far you have come. And because sometimes I fall into this thing myself. Where I am now, I'm like, oh, I should have been this, blah blah blah. If this that happened, that happened. But I don't. Sometimes I have to pause and realize, first of all, I came from Trinidad. I would have never even thought a plane seemed like something I would never see or ever experience. So that alone in itself, I'm way ahead, right? And then when I look back from where I used to work or where I came, oh my God, I'm amazing. And when you realize how amazing you are, that thing that in itself is motivating you to keep going. But we pause too much and see all the negative things. And then when you keep focusing on the negative things, you're going to pause in life. And then you're going to start doing the whole victim and I ain't doing this and my mom wasn't there and your dad wasn't there. And I know this going to sound mean to some people, but you're not that special. Like, you alone don't have that story. Why it is that people focus, everybody want to have a pity
Mhm.
party of who had the worst
Yeah.
experience, who had the most trauma. Really? Why are we not looking at solutions? Should I need therapy? Do I need coaching? Do I need like, let's focus on more of the solution instead of feeling, oh my God, and it's so overrated.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. If you're here joining us and you're online, please let us know where you're joining us from. If you have questions for our guests, please put in the chat on any platform that you're joining us from. Thank you. Talking about looking into solution, you give some advice in your book, and one of them is having fun doesn't always mean squeezing into your tightest outfit and showcasing every curve. Hoping the next guy in line will say what your ex did not say. True fun is about enjoying yourself with people who are genuinely have your interest at heart. That's a simple advice that it's not easy to take, right? Because at that point, when people are in their lowest point like that, they just want to do the next thing that's going to make them feel good about themselves. And most of the time, it's not the right thing. It's not the
But
most.
this is why it matters the type of people and your friends and your confidants. If you have the worst set of people around you, it's 10 times easier to fall into something negative or not the not something positive, right? But if you had that better circle, that person be like, maybe this is not the time to drink that. Maybe this is not the time to go out with that person. Maybe it's not the time to call 5 of your exes. You're gonna, and if you have that close relationship and that confidant, in your hearts of hearts, even if you want to go against it, that person really have you as the best outcome for you, right? And you know what always is amusing to me, like, we ask people for advice all the time, and then you ask 10 people, and then you go back and you ask somebody else and you call them again. Do you know most of the time we already know the solution? Like,
Mm,
we do. That little thing, I don't know if you want to call it your conscience, God. At this point in time, I really don't care. The point is, right? Sometimes you just need someone to put a stamp on it, maybe, or take the stamp off or pull the band-aid off. I don't know what it is. I don't even know. That would be a whole a test or some kind of thing we have to go and investigate and research and all that stuff. But we already know. If you grab a bottle, I don't drink, so, but if
mm,
you, because I don't know, like alcohol, vodka, or whatever people use to get drunk,
mm.
and if you drink the whole bottle, you're not going to be in your right senses. You know that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's us being around the right people that even if we go to do the wrong thing, that they're gonna shake us, and we're gonna respect that person that's gonna shake us, and hopefully we stay home. And even if
Yeah.
we do go and do the wrong thing, maybe the same person who have our back would go with us to make sure it don't get to that level.
Wow. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. That's very powerful. You mentioned three categories of friends: party crew, bookworms, gossip queens. What came to my mind is that so for men, what would be the third category of the gossip
So
queens? I mean,
so my thing. Well, first of all, my book is for women, but so those things is not necessary. It's categories, but it was just more. Here are some examples for you to start looking around. I'm sure there are 100 different categories of friends.
mm,
I don't know what that particular person is into, so I just mentioned some things that some people would immediately identify with. But it's up to you to make your own category. I ain't hanging out with you. Me and you ain't confidants.
yeah, hmm yeah. Okay, wow, yeah, I get it.
I know. I'm smart. How am I so smart?
I think I get what you mean by that. So one of the things that was also described in the book is fears that people have was described in the book, especially in the particular one that you were co-authoring with people there. And I started thinking about it. Aside the relationship part of it, what other fears did you had in your journey here?
So for me, this is so funny. You know, most people have fear of failure, and that's a big deal, and that has to do with whatever goals or whatever expectations you have for yourself. But there's also the fear of success, right? Especially, say for me, in the last, I would say, last year and a half, a lot of things have shifted for me, right? With keynote speaking, um, I love more of the entertainment side. So when things start all the time, you're like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? And then when people start calling you, it tends to be overwhelming at times. And then you start to question, do I really want this? Do I really love this? Is this where is this my going to be my life? So I would say for me, especially yeah, recently, it has been a fear of success to a certain degree. And some people might be like, well, that's dumb. But it's not dumb, and it would only be dumb to you if you haven't ha- I would say if you haven't had I have high expectations of myself. I am a hardcore when it comes to goals. Like I'm the person that have to pause and celebrate. Otherwise, as soon as I reach this goal, I'm like, okay, that was great, I did it. So the next goal is right. So I'm someone that since I'm so goal oriented and I'm 120. I'm like people who do 100 is just average to me. So I'm like the opposite. That's why I say with the multi-talented part, it's good. You know, people say jack of all trades, a master of none. I have mastered all, right? And you don't hear that often. That's why I'm like, I'm not the typical. And even though that might sound cool, it can be a hindrance because then you're doing too much. And if someone says if you have too much to do, that means you're doing too much, and then you're not focused. And we as humans are not supposed to multitask. We can at times, but it's not a positive because you're not focused really on anything, and you're kind of all over. So I think my fear is success in me being multi-talented could be a hindrance and could be a negative in some ways, and me not being able to celebrate my wins. I keep want to win. I want to keep winning.
Mm,
So I need to be able to slow down and pause a little, enjoy the moments, get
mm.
excited, and still take time out for myself and relax.
Wow, wow. Thank you for sharing that. Taking time for yourself and relax. But then after you relax, You want to keep firing. You want to achieve
Of
the next
course.
thing and things
We
like
we
that.
were put on this earth to keep growing, not put on the world, the earth to die, just like that. Like what? How much they always say, what legacy you want to leave behind? Think about it. Michael Jackson been gone since 2009, right? And he's still living on. There's always a music. There's always a show. There's a movie. Kids who are 5 know Michael Jackson songs. Like that's a legacy. And
Hmm.
I don't, you don't want to, like people, Oprah always says people want to feel like they matter. They want to feel like they matter in the moment, but it would be nice that if you leave this earth, people don't only remember you on your birthday, right? You should come up in conversations. You should come up when people are thinking about new goals. Remember when Patrice used to do this? Remember when Patrice taught us this? Like some sort of legacy, so I think you should be here to constantly learn, constantly grow, even pivot at times. Like people always say, well, I'm supposed to do this. But then life happens, and maybe it's the stuff that you learned before in whatever goal you forging ahead with. Maybe you were supposed to pivot, take those things you learned, and add it to the new pivot or wherever life sometimes shapes you.
Yeah. Wow. Legacy, leaving something behind. And there's a part of the book that says the value of lifting others as you rise and the impact that one person's belief in you has on your entire trajectory. I think that's why you keep saying, oh, Michael Jackson and things like that, even 5 year can feel the impact because that's how they feel about the impact that he made and is still making, even though it's no more here.
Yeah.
And it seems that people who are able to achieve that, they do things very differently from the general population, right?
Yes. And you know what sucks about those things? That we are the ones when you do things different, you're the weirdo, you're the crazy one, you're the
Yeah,
not normal one. So I get a lot of that.
yeah. Because at the point you're doing that, people are like, yeah, there's something's wrong with this person. That's what,
Yeah, so believe me, my nickname was crazy, right?
but
But I embraced it. I'm not like, don't call me crazy. I'll be crazy. Like, people don't like people who are different. Like, even simple as Toastmasters, like, what my presentation is not typical Toastmasters. I follow the rules, but it's more engaging. It's for people to respond to you. A lot of time in Toastmasters, and I have nothing against Toastmasters. I love Toastmasters. I'm a Toastmasters for life, right? Because
mm,
I feel like they were my foundation. But sometimes we need to change. This is not 100 years ago. It's not 1920 something whenever Toastmasters first started, right? And even though I followed the rules, they want everything to look this way,
mm,
right? Sometimes people are not ready for a female who have no hair on her head with an accent from a
yeah,
tiny island with 1.5 million people. They want to know. They want to see what they think is typical.
yeah,
Maybe I need to be white with blue eyes. My hair need to be this length, blonde. Like anything different, it makes people uncomfortable. I don't fully understand why, because I embrace things that are different. I get excited to learn about things that are different. But I don't know, maybe I have no response for that part.
wow, wow. That's a very important point you made. Like people just don't like seeing something that is very different from what they expect. And if they see something that is very different, most people will question it and trying to put it in a box that is very
Yeah.
different and things like that.
They want
But
everybody to just walk in one boring straight line, wear one typical color, like we just chanting in one big group. And then when someone says scream out, they're like, oh my God, what's going on? Something's wrong. She's possessed. I mean, even when I looked up history, I read a lot, like a lot. I think that's a problem, right? That's my biggest vice. But when you think back in history, when the guy the guy who invented the radio, they put him in like a mental institute because he said he could hear things through, the walls. With like when you look back from the Einstein, from the Mozart, they're all the strange people. And they're the ones that make huge, significant changes in the world we live in today.
Hmm. Wow, wow. I mean, you just mentioned Toastmasters. I think it's a good time for us to go there and talk about your accreditation journey, the presentation
So,
you gave, and the story behind that.
so they know what's funny about that whole Toastmaster thing. When I looked at Toastmasters and I looked up, I only found out about accredited speaker in 2023, right?
Mm,
And I thought when you first look at all those rules, you just want to close the book and be like, no, I'm good. This is too much. And I feel that's why we only have 95 thus far, because it seems intimidating, all right?
yeah.
It takes 3 years of all the speaking things, and they have a rule how many people, how much you can get paid. It's a lot. But my thing is because I'm a big believer in school or learning, right? But my thing is, if it intimidates you in today, for instance, right?
Mm,
Time is still going to continue to move on. So why not still know what the rules are and still work towards it, even if it takes you 5 years? But
yeah.
people just see it and they immediately close the book and be like, okay, that's too much for me. But maybe the same people that close the book actually have all the information right there, but they didn't take the time because they were too intimidated. So I decided, I said, you know what? That's the highest level basically you could go into Toastmasters. So why not try, right? So I did that. I must say, it takes it. They give you 3 years. I got all my paperwork together in a year and basically a year and a half, if so much. So I'm proud of myself. And then it's only once a year you can submit your paperwork, which is in the month of January. So that shows you have time, right? And I submitted it. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I was gonna get past the first round. Right? So when I did that, I feel that to me, I felt like I made it. Right?
Mm,
And then for me to, and still, even though you think you know what you're getting into, you don't know because it's your first time.
yeah.
Like, but I'm someone again, I don't do 100, I do 120. So I got a coach, I got a mentor. I was like, if I'm doing this 100%. I read that book so many times. And then the judges, the ballots and stuff, I read that 100, like no exaggeration. I was living and eating Toastmasters, right? And I didn't even realize when it was coming to the end, I was the only person. Because in the beginning, we had a second person, and for whatever reason, he wasn't there. And I remember seeing that room and I had water. No matter how much I drink the water, my throat would dry. Like people don't understand. Like I tell myself, you hear Michael Jackson 100%, 100 times in this conversation. I tell people I have the Michael Jackson complex, where I might be quiet in a room. Like I'm an ambivert, so I need time to recuperate and be in my little space. Don't talk to me too much. But when I step on stage, it's the Michael Jackson complex thing. Like I can perform, I can speak. As soon as I walk off that stage, I'm like, ugh, I need to go in a room and relax and breathe, right? But that was an amazing experience. Like I did not get the accreditation, and I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, so forth and so on. I see it for what it is. You can always learn something from the experience, but at the same time, me being able to go on stage, hundreds of people saw me. I made hundreds of connections, and it even made me into a better speaker.
Yeah.
So I always tend to take the good. I ain't gonna lie. Look, I keep it real. I was pissed. I was annoyed and angry because I know the work I put in. I think if I didn't put in the work, I could take responsibility for that. But I go on record as saying that I know I did 120. Nobody cannot come in my face and tell me I did not do a great job. No one can say I didn't impact people. No one can say I didn't deliver a message that somebody somewhere, I believe in hope, help one person every day. But I know that I helped at least more than one person. And so I am happy with my delivery, not fully happy with the outcome, but I think everything does happen for a reason. And
Yeah.
at some point in time, Toastmaster might have to pay me to come back.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So there's another part of the conversation that I also want to touch on. There's this quote from the book: "Success is not what you have, but who you have become in the process."
Oh,
So who have you become in all this that you've shared so far?
When I look back at me growing up in Trinidad, just the confident level. Like if you go and you met my teachers and friends from Trinidad, I'm known for I don't speak at all. Like it was so bad when the teacher would take attendance. There were times I would be marked absent when I was sitting in the class. That's how much I
Yeah.
did not speak. So
Mhm.
in this moment, I have become very confident in myself and in my skills. And I think I know, again, we don't know what the future holds, but in this moment, I am the best I'm ever going to be in this particular moment. Best mentally, emotionally, in so many different ways. I know who I am in this moment. I'm proud of who I am. I am congratulating myself because I have come a long way. I am amazing. And I'm not going to say it has to do anything with titles, but
Yeah.
it's me being able to look in the mirror and be like, you're beautiful. I love you. And you're freaking amazing.
Hmm.
And that's a big deal. A lot of us. And there was a time when I couldn't be able to do that. But I could say that with certainty.
Yeah. 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 Giving compliments, being comfortable to give compliments without feeling bad about it and things like that. I think that's something that's very powerful. I know our time is going gradually, but I still have a couple of questions, so I'm aware of the time. So one of the things that we have in common is that we came from a different country to America. I will touch on that a little bit, but there's an aspect of it that I also want to hear more. The accent, all right? The accent in Trinidad and Tobago is very different. I have been very privileged to have people from that place, and it seems like you don't really have that anymore. It's toned down. It's not as obvious anymore. But what was your journey in that from the time you came as to when you're now a professional speaker? What was the journey as
So
to?
my thing is, well, a lot of people like for me being here this long, I should not have an accent at all. But I'll say this because a lot of people come here after a year, 2 years, they have a full American accent. My but my problem was I didn't know that I was supposed to change my accent, right? So I never focused on it. I just this is how I spoke, this is how I spoke. And me being country, goodness gracious, I'll say it, people say you speak well and you pronunciate well. I don't have none of that, right?
Mm,
This is what it is. I think I have obviously I think I talk a little slower because when you're from a different country, I think most people tend to talk really fast and then you have an accent and
yeah,
all this other stuff. But this is how I talk. This is my
yeah,
accent. Sometimes I try to be conscious. Sometimes, like when I did Toastmasters, I slowed down a lot. I even look back at the video. I'm like, my goodness, I'm talking slow. So I
mm,
understand in certain places I have to make little adjustments. But
yeah,
this accent is here for life. I always remember
mm,
people always saying, "Oh, I don't understand your accent." And I'm like, people don't realize we all have accents. Like just because you live here in America, America is not the whole world. Like
yeah,
you have an accent. A lot of people could come here and don't know what you're talking about. You could go to another country, but I think being America has been like the number one for so many years or in top five. They think they know everything, and I'm a firm believer in no matter where you're from, you should travel. Even in America, travel to different states. People have
mm,
different accents in
yeah,
different states. But I
yeah,
think me as a New Yorker, we do get like we're New Yorkers. We run the world. This is the capital. Like it's not even really the capital, people. It's not. It's Washington. And not Washington, D.C. That's why people should read, educate themselves, get
mm,
to know people, immerse yourself in other people' cultures, like find out more. People limit themselves too much. But I love my accent. There was a time I was very uncomfortable about it, and I felt like I wasn't smart because I even had a job where, for the first year, I found out after the year ended, people came up to me when they got to know me and said how many people didn't know what I was saying, and they just used to yes me to death because they didn't want to hurt my feelings. Just so you know, you hurt my feelings a year later when I find out you didn't know what I was saying. I would have rather you ask me to repeat myself, tell me to talk a little slowly. So I know in the full year, I could have lost a lot of relationships and not build on it because no one told me they didn't know what I was saying.
yeah. Yeah.
But let's help each other instead of being so judgmental and I think we're too busy. Well, I'm better than you because I'm in America or I have an English accent. Think about it. Every time we hear English accent, we think they're smarter. Like it's
Yeah.
a natural thing. Oh my God, their accent. That's the Queen's language.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. And that
Yeah.
doesn't make anybody like Obama's. It has a viral clip of Obama saying, "Sometime all the rooms that he went in for his time being the president. You meet all these dignitaries, and he's like, people don't realize when you in these rooms, a lot of people are not that smart, but we
Yeah.
think because they're in this room, they so much more better than us, and that's not true."
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah. People try to connect intelligence with accents, and there's no connection between it. We just have to agree at some point. There's no
Yes.
connection. I quickly want to touch on these also. You said I turned my personal journey of searching for Mr. Right into a hilarious one-woman stage play. Frustrated. What is that?
So I have a one woman show that I've done on Broadway, and I did it in some different states, and it's just a 1 hour one woman show. So it's me doing a 1 hour monologue with songs long, but mine's is again, I do everything different. It's very interactive. So it just says about the stages of looking for Mr. Right. So it talks about some of the relationships I've been into. Like I'll give you an example. Like you start talking to a guy, this guy is amazing. Oh my God, we're planning our future, right? And then you find out, oh, he been to prison, right? So it's the things you don't know. So it's like my whole journey, but the whole point of the play, even though I have hilarious moments in this journey, at the end of it is instead of searching for Mr. Right, is really learning to love yourself before you venture into looking for this person, or this person should be looking for you, or you both looking for each other. But it was just more, I'm big on the humor aspect of things because humor makes things so much lighter, make things so much easier. Stress reliever, painkiller, builds connection. So I'm big on anything I do must have humor in it, and you walk away remembering more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. That's same for me. I love humor. If not for humor, most of the challenges I've faced, if not for God and humor and family support, I think those are the three top things that
Yeah.
I think challenges are almost impossible to overcome these days.
Yes, because a lot of you know what I dislike that a lot is, and again, and when I say it is because I've been there at some point. People will say, I did this alone. No one helped me," and I'm like, that's impossible.
Yeah,
Someone has to help you. You rob a bank, someone helped you. You did great. You got a master's, a doctorate, someone helped you. You didn't do it by yourself. There are people in our paths every day, and they might even play a small, tiny role, but they helped you.
yeah, yeah. That's
Jesus,
very true.
Jesus had 12 disciples. He didn't do it by himself. Like, really?
Yeah,
If Jesus didn't do it by, who are you?
yeah. Some people think they're better than Jesus,
Yes.
apparently. So you also have the Miss Francois show. What do you do on the show? Anything you want to tell us?
So I have two shows, right? I don't know how I find time to have a regular job.
Hmm.
But the first show is basically I use humor to help people with this dysfunctional relationship. So I just have typically regular people, but sometimes I have coaches and therapists and psychologists, and it's focused on relationships, like talking about the dysfunction, because nobody's walking around, or we don't argue. If you don't argue or have a disagreement in your relationship, that's pretty scary, because we all have our own personality, and it's about even coming from something that's negative and showing how you triumphed and where you are now. It's asking people different questions about, what do you think men want? What do you think women want? How can we do better? But always in a humorous fashion for it to stay with people longer.
Yeah.
And the next show that I'm working on, well, it's been a year. It's called Caribbean Brilliance, where I interview Caribbean Americans, people that have done amazing things. Because coming from a foreign country, sometimes you're like behind, like you're
Yeah.
behind. Even when you come here to go to high school, they tend to put you backwards, even though the education system might be even further along than Americans. I'm not bashing the Americans, but it is further along in many instances. Because when I
Mm-hmm.
came here, they thought I was a
Mm-hmm.
genius. In
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad, I wasn't anything close to a genius,
Yeah.
right? Because of the curriculum and the work that you do. But it's all those different things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. We're almost done. I also know you did a TEDx talk. What was the journey into the TEDx talk? Anything you want to share about your
Well, the
TEDx?
funny thing is, when people ask me that I did a TED Talk, a lot of people paid thousands of dollars to learn how to get a TEDx. The funny thing is, they reached out to me. So that alone says where my journey was, that people are reaching out to you. Because when I hear of some people how they have to fight for a TEDx, I'm like, oh my God, they just emailed me. I'm not feel bad. Because people like, I paid $15,000. I'm like, really? That I think that was in itself showing me that I'm on the right path in my
Wow.
life for people to be reaching out to me. Because before you're fighting up a storm, you're writing all these emails and stuff. But I would say I'm big on being prepared. Like Oprah says, there's no such thing as luck. It's preparedness meets opportunity. So even when the people read out for me for my TEDx, I already written one. I had written one maybe 2 years before. So I'm someone that's always prepared. If Tyler Perry right now and say, let me see you do your one woman show, I'll be like, here's my reel, here's my this. So being prepared for your opportunity. You can't say you want something and then you have nothing in place.
Yeah.
Right? If someone reach out to me for a podcast, I have my media bio, I have my headshots. You can't be like, oh, let me go take a selfie. So in anything
Mhm.
you want in life, start preparing for it. So when you
Yeah.
get the opportunity, you don't have to be running around, what they say, like a chicken without a head.
Yes, chicken without a head. A part of you is humor, which you just mentioned a couple of times. Then you also use that in a humorous speech competition with Toastmasters. Any story behind that, and what was your experience in a humorous speech contest?
The funny thing is, just to make sure I go on record, I never wanted to be a speaker. I joined
Yeah,
Toastmasters for therapy reasons because therapist was too expensive.
yeah,
Literally, I joined Toastmasters because it was cheap. And I get to tell my story to strangers. Sometimes you feel more comfortable around strangers because your people in your circle tend to judge you, right? Your
yeah.
your 150 friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I joined Toastmasters for my own reason. Everyone joining for different reasons. And then of course it had a competition and I was I think the VP of education or something at that time. And I had a hard time getting people to join the competition. So I joined but I joined under the pretense of, yeah, I'm going to beat you, but as a joke to encourage other people. Because a lot of times when the speech competition, you have two people. I was like, no, I want people. So I had like 4 or 5 of us to encourage other people to join. I didn't fully understand what Toastmasters was when I did that because maybe I was in it maybe 2 years. So I was
Mm-hmm.
now getting into the rules. And then they're like, okay, now you go to the area. I'm like, the area of what? And so I was kind of clueless at the same time. Then when I passed the area, they're like, okay, then you go into division. I said, what's going on here? Right? And I remember going in division and I remember this lady, her speech was imaginary cloak. And I remember her being funny. And I was like, oh, well, this was cool. This was a good experience. I'm not going to go any further. Like I was excited, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I have to win. And then when I
Mhm,
won that, and in us, they call it the big stage. I was
mhm.
like, how did I get here? And
Yeah.
before I went on stage, where I ended up winning, I remember seeing two people. One was doing exercises,
Mhm.
one was like stretching, and I said, oh my God. One was doing and making songs. I remember thinking, my goodness. I said, should I be doing any of these? I remember I'm still new in Toastmaster, but again, anything I do 120. So I was practicing. I had people. I was practicing any and everywhere. In the barber shop, I was practicing because if I'm doing it, I'm doing it 120. And I remember after I saw that person going, me, I said, you know what? Whatever they do is good. I'm not going to do me. I'm not going to stretch. I'm going to do and be the best person I could be in that moment. And
Yeah.
I got a standing ovation. They said it was the first time ever in District 46 they stand up. People thought I brought people and those were my people. I didn't even know those people. I haven't been in Toastmasters to know anybody. but it was a surreal experience that when I came off stage, it was kind of scary because if you notice, when you're all on the same level, everybody's fine. When they see you on a stage and come off, everyone, and I remember being a little uncomfortable because people were pushing their books, sign this, sign that. And I'm like, is this on celebrity? And it was like 300 people feel, and it was an uncomfortable feeling because it's not something I knew to expect, but it was my first experience. Now I look back, it was a great experience. I loved it, but it had its moments where I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think my lesson is no matter what you do 120.
Right. Do 120. There's a concept in the books that you're let me show you again. That I quickly want to mention the fact that support system is very important. We just said it now. Nobody's actually self-made as they portray themselves to be. But then, even this support system, you don't just get it every time. You mentioned at the beginning you didn't get it. You missed that part whereby you felt family and friends were supposed to be there and they were not there, things like that. But eventually, things turns out good. But then the thing is that this kind of experience is not unique to you. It's everybody that experienced that at some point in their life. In which case, support that you think you can get from family or friends, you're not going to get it, but it's a stranger that you're going to get it from.
Most times, because I think your family and your close friends, they see you a certain way, and sometimes, especially with family, they see you when you used to steal candy at 10, and now you're 25, and they're like, well, you like to steal candy, and you're like, really? So it's very hard because even with my family, I'm known as the stern. I'm always curling and do this, do that. That is not even my personality. But every time I speak to my brother and sister, well, you like to tell us what to do, and I go, did I tell you what to do? No, but you always, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what 20 years ago. Like, but you love your family for wherever they are, and that's in their own bucket, right? But what I've learned, it is the strangers, but it's also you putting yourself in certain circles. Don't keep thinking you're just gonna walk the road and the right people are gonna meet you, right? There are chances like that, but find yourself in organization and groups. That's what I'm in so many different organization and groups. You're gonna find your people. You're gonna attract your right people because as you continue to build yourself up, those right people are they're gonna show up. And it sounds weird, but they show up.
Yeah. It's like moving around. If you don't move around, you don't get to those groups.
You can't keep going the same place and expect things to change. We do that with everything. Like, it doesn't work that way. Oh, well, it never happens to me. Yeah, but you just walk to work and you're 2 blocks from, you never went anywhere else. You never went to another state. You never did nothing.
Yeah. Wow. That's very powerful. That's I'm not gonna ask any other question. Is there? I don't wanna take too much of your time. At this point, is there anything you wanna tell our guests? Anything you're working on? Anything you're offering, or how you can help?
Well, one thing I wanted to tell people just overall, right? It's the big concept of, when you're in a plane and the stuff falls for the oxygen, focus on you, and then you can help other people. Like, really, we tend to want to help everybody, and I'm a big helper. People know this, but really spend that time with yourself and really learn to love yourself. Not go get a massage necessary or a foot massage; those are good too. But really get to know yourself. Like, find out your dislikes and likes, and learn to love yourself before you try to love this guy and this girl and your family and all your kids you had to prepare for. Like, you need to detach from certain things and just take some time for you. Otherwise, at some point in time, you're going to get burned out. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get sad. And then you're going to want to know how you got here. You got here because you put yourself there.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And as stuff as I'm working on, I have a lot of Toastmaster conferences coming up next year for the spring. I'm literally taking between now and the whole of January off because I'm tired, to be honest. So I'll say that's why you have books. That's why you have courses. That's why you have a website. So people still get you without getting you in person, because I'm only one person. You can't be everywhere, right? So this is why I encourage people to write the book that's been on your heart, write the course, write the play, do the TV show, do the podcast. Because even if you're not present there, they have something of you and you're still there and you're still impacting people's life. Okay, because you're only one person. You need to take some time for yourself.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
You're very
Ms.
welcome.
Francois, it was a very funny, interesting session. I learned a lot. I hope our viewers also learned a lot. Until next time on Solution Eliminator Series podcast. Thank you, Ms. Francois, for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye.